Let's turn to hymn number 42, Could It Be That God Is Singing? Becca Lachman, the author of these words, said that she had a tune in her head for a long time, and she found these words. And so the song echoes that, as if God is singing as our inner voice. And after a while, maybe we hear him take a breath and sing. Let's stand.
Welcome to this service of praise and worship at St. Jacob's Mennonite Church. Welcome to those who are present in the sanctuary. Welcome to all who connect with the YouTube recording either now or later on. It's a fascinating hustle and bustle time of the year, a time of shiny new beginnings for many, a time of endings for others as summer fades, a time to say goodbye to fresh corn and peaches and yellow tomatoes and other good things, and to welcome the other gifts that the harvest brings. Some of us are blessed in so many ways. At the same time, there are so many needs in our neighborhoods and in countries around the world. So much division and hate, so much war, and senseless deaths. So many questions, God. Please have mercy on us all. For our opening prayer, I'll be reading 859 from our hymnal, which is a prayer that Alyssa Bender wrote 10 years ago. God of every place, some of us see you today from mountains of joy and confidence, mountains of gratitude and praise. Some of us seek you today from valleys of grief and doubt, valleys of loss or exhaustion. And in all places, there you are with us, nudging us onward. When we descend from the heights, show us your presence on the ground. When we rise from the depths, show us the light of your way. Meet us all on the path made by Jesus. Amen.
Let's turn to hymn number 494, Gravity of Love. This is probably new to many of us, but we'll catch on quickly. Let's stand to sing.
I lift my eyes up to the hills. This is my morning sun, where my strength comes from. I lift my eyes up to the hills. This my evening sun, where my help comes from. This is the gravity of love, just as the moon follows the sun. You're all around me. You're holding everything. This is the hope of everything. Just as the universe expands, your love is marching. You're holding everything. We lift our eyes up to the hills. When our help comes, God, we cry how long. We lift our eyes up to the hills. Even as we run, hope is chasing us. This is the gravity of love, just as the moon follows the sun. You're all around me. You're holding everything. This is the hope of every man. Just as the universe expands, your love is reaching. You're holding everything.
It's on. Can I get all the children and junior youth to come to the front, please? Good morning, everyone. How are you? Good. All right. So, you came to the front, and some of you put some money in this bowl here. Does anyone know why we collect this money or what we do with it? You know what? This actually works out because that's why I'm here this morning, and I'm going to tell you what we're doing with the money. So, I'm here today to introduce our Fall Children's Offering Project. But before I do that, I'm going to tell you what we did with the money that we collected over the summer. So we took that money that we collected in the bowl, and we gave it to, Woolwich Community Services. And so they run a backpack program in this region, and what they do is they help families in the region who need or can't buy backpacks and school supplies for their children. So they connect with these families. They give these families what they need so that the kids have the supplies they need when they go back to school in the fall. What do we think about that? Pretty good? All right, so for the fall, we're sticking with the same theme, school kits, but we're doing it on a much more global scale. So MCC has a program where they ask churches to put together school kits. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So I will get us to move ahead to the next slide. Thanks. So all around the world, families and children experience a barrier to learning when they don't have the supplies that they need to go back to school. So MCC collects these kits and distributes them all over the world to different countries, and they provide these children with the things that they need for learning. Can you imagine if you showed up to class or wherever you learn and you didn't have a paper or a pencil, things to write with? Would it make it more difficult, what do you think, to learn? Maybe to practice some of the things that you're learning? Yeah. So this fall, any money that we collect, we're going to put to building these kits. So if we go ahead one more slide. A video is going to load here in a minute. I have a video, and in this video we're going to meet Mary. Mary is a child that has received a school kit, and she's going to talk about what she received in the kit, hopefully, and what she appreciates about the kit. No? All right. I'll try and recap a little bit. So she just talks about different things that she receives in the kit and how it's helpful for her at school, and she appreciates and talks about her appreciation for MCC providing these kits to people in her community, because without the kits they wouldn't have been able to go to school. And for them, going to school, being able to go to school and learn is very important to them. All right, so we're just going to move right along then. All right, so now we're going to talk about what goes into a kit. So up on the screen, you're going to see a picture. Down here for you guys, I have an example of an actual kit. So you guys get to see the real thing. Everyone else has to look at the picture. All right? Yes. All right, the first thing we have in our kits is 4 notebooks. And if we were able to watch the video, Mary describes that every notebook has a subject, and she's pretty happy about that, to be nice and organized like that. So we have 4 notebooks. We have 1 ruler, which Mary uses for math. We have a box of pencil crayons, which she says she uses for coloring. We put in 8 pencils. They're very specific about numbers here. So 8 pencils. 1 large eraser, because of course when we're learning we make lots of mistakes, and that's okay. And if you have pencils, you need a pencil sharpener. So we include a pencil sharpener in there as well. And 4 pens. When I was in school, I was told never to use a pen because you can't erase it, but that's what we're being asked to put in there, so we will. And then I don't have a bag, but you'll notice up on the screen there is a bag. And so we don't have to include those. If we don't provide them, MCC will do it for us. But the bag is important because they use it to pack the kit in, and then the children actually use them like backpacks, so they can use it to bring their school supplies from home into school and back again. And now I totally went off my notes, so I got to see where I am here. All right, so we know what's in the kit. We know what the kit is for. And so I thought maybe we could set a goal for ourselves this fall giving season so that we could have a goal of what we want to raise. So I did some math, and based on the supplies that I purchased here, 1 kit costs about $13 to put together. So then I did some more math, and I figured out that if we raised $260, we could put 20 kits together to send to MCC. What do we think, guys? Do you think we can do that this fall? Yeah. Yeah, good. All right. So I have the thermometer here. It's at 0 right now. Every time we get more money in from offering, I'm going to update our thermometer just to show our progress as to where we are and how close we're getting to our goal. All right? How do we feel about this? Is this a good project for the fall? Are there any questions about this project? I'm really chatty this morning. All right, you can head back to your seats. Thank you.
Let's turn to hymn number 614. 614, I'll do the leader's part, and you can all come in. Stephanie will back us all up. Let's stand to sing.
Lord, have mercy. Lord, have mercy. Christ, have mercy. Christ, have mercy. Lord, have mercy. Lord, have mercy. Lord, have mercy. Christ, have mercy. Christ, have mercy. Lord, have mercy.
One 121. I lift my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. He who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. The Lord will keep you going out and you're coming in it from this time and forevermore.
That was Psalm 121, in case you didn't hear. I've always heard about how the Psalms are poetry and songs, the emotional and metaphorical expressions of fickle humans, and are prayers to the steadfast and true God of Israel. I had, of course, read the little editor notes in my Bibles, marked for the lyre or for the director of music, or like in today's text, a song of ascents. It hadn't occurred to me until much later that some of these editor notes were actually context clues to where these songs might have been used. So a song of ascent, as I learned, and the way that today's text is marked, was actually a song for going up, a song that would have been sung while families or communities made their pilgrimages, literally up the mountains to Jerusalem for the high holidays called the festivals. For me, some of you know, pilgrimage is a spiritual discipline that is very dear to my heart. I am not an outdoorsy person. I find Mark's canoe adventures and Nathan's hiking wilderness story horrifying and incredibly stressful to imagine agreeing to. I don't like camping without running water, toilets, and showers, and I'm absolutely petrified of campfires. I'm not a great candidate to spend days or weeks traveling on foot for spiritual edification. Nonetheless, in 2017, I walked the Pilgrimage for Indigenous Rights that was organized by the then MC Canada Director for the Indigenous Relations Program, Steve Heinrichs. I was in the deep throes of postpartum depression, postpartum panic disorder, and DEMER. My hands were full. I felt profoundly alone, chained to the baby's schedule, and therefore the house most of the day. I struggled to get out of bed to care for my family and myself. However, when this pilgrimage idea came up at church, I felt an undeniable tug at my heart. I believed in the importance of Canada's agreement to sign on to UNDRIP, which we would be advocating for along the way. And so much so that I just felt that itch to do something, to be productive, to be helpful. So I consulted very briefly with my pastor and signed up. Of course, I had a baby that was fully dependent on me. So I did what so many mothers in my position before have done. I decided to bring her with me. I put in months of research and grueling training to get to the point that I could walk 20 kilometers comfortably in a day, without too much pain in my hips and my feet by the evening. After a few weeks, I added Junia in a carrier on my back to see how far we could both tolerate in that setup. Spoiler alert, it was not very far. When we started the walk, Junia had just turned 10 months old. She was a very small baby, but still, adding her weight on my back and my day pack on the front, the 20 kilometers very quickly shrunk to about 5 kilometers. After almost 3 months of training, I was now carrying her on my front and the backpack on the back. Well, I ran up and down that really large hill on Cedar Street in downtown Kitchener because I figured I would be slower than most people. I should run the hill and over-prepare, right? I never did manage to get much further than 7 or 8 kilometers carrying Junia, which worked out all right because when I was pushing the stroller, she fussed a lot less and she ate more and she tolerated much longer distances. And this would be a blessing that I didn't fully realize the importance of until I was already on the walk. While I know the ancient Israelites would definitely have been in far better shape than I also imagine their traveling route was significantly more grueling than Cedar Street. In a study of the text offered out of St. James Kenilworth, a non-denominational congregation in South Africa, the rector Mervyn Eloff talks about the Jewish traditions around this annual pilgrimage. The hardship and struggle of the distance was a burden that was shared among the people, reflecting the people's seeking of the promised land from the wilderness and exile of a broken world. It echoed their deep heart's desire to rebuild God's temple and gather up the people of God into the presence of the Lord. As Christians, we can also see this as an illustration of the hope of a world gathered in peace, reflecting the way that we have conventionally understood the book of Revelation and our hope of new life, though that is another sermon for another series. On day 3 of the actual walk, we went down the Niagara Escarpment and back up the other side. It was our longest day, clocking in at 39 kilometers in a day, in the full scorching sun with long stretches on the side of highways, walking at a speed much faster than I prepared for. And also much faster than most of us were used to as we were racing against the sun. At the end of the day, I had to take a quick drive home and replace the wheels on my stroller, as I had worn through the rubber and actually popped the inner tube on the gravel of the shoulder. And I was reevaluating all the life choices that had brought me to that moment. Over the course of the walk, there were many difficult stages. Physical pain, lack of access to showers and toilets and laundry facilities, or lack of rest and sleep, especially since Junia was not yet sleeping through the night. We left Kitchener on an unseasonably hot and sunny day in May. But by the time we reached about Marmora, there were cold sheets of rain and fog, and the day before we hit Peterborough, we walked through snow and made a little pit stop at the ER for an ear infection for Junia. The next day, back on the road, an older gentleman from my home congregation met us on the road and walked with us for the day. Back home, he's known as a baby whisperer. And having your baby rocked to sleep by him during a potluck is a rite of passage for every new parent in that congregation. So he bundled up Junia and wore her in a carrier inside his coat for much longer than I could have. And that sweet taste of home and my beloved community was so comforting and so appreciated at that time. Rector Eloff also spoke in particular about how crucial it was that these pilgrimages were taken on with others. The travelers took care of each other and spurred each other on. In the same way, our faith lives were never meant to be lived in solitude, but rather in community, to help each other carry the experience of our faith together. The social role that these pilgrimage songs fill is to strengthen the bond of the travelers along the way. The next 3 weeks and 600 kilometers gave me much opportunity to reflect on the choices I made that led to me sleeping on church basements across Ontario. However, the 3 weeks that I spent walking, while they were an incredible challenge, I was unprepared for the way in which my loneliness would be healed in the community. Many of the walkers were women around the age of my parents, and they were so generous with their time and love in holding Junia, feeding and changing her, walking with her to give me a break, or even just so that I could take a power nap in the support vehicle. A few times, their early morning insomnia meant that someone else was willing to take a shift rocking her in the morning, so I could get another hour of sleep before we had to get up. For the first time in my motherhood journey, I didn't feel alone. I had support. I felt like I had autonomy and freedom, and that my baby would still be loved and cared for if I had my hands free for a little while. The community of the walkers carried the faith for me and restored me back to my own self. Walter Rueggemann talks about the role that this particular Psalm 121 plays in the pattern of story that we see repeated in the Psalms. We start with Psalm 120. A problem is presented. Too long I have had my dwelling among those who hate peace, says verse 6. Then Psalm 121, we cry out to God and find assurance of their faithfulness. The God who will keep you from all evil, he will keep your life. It says verse 7. And then in the following Psalm, 122, we find a resolution and salvation in Jerusalem. Peace be within your walls and serenity within your towers. Another verse 7. The cycle continues with Psalm 123. Have mercy upon us, O Lord. Have mercy upon us, for we have had more than enough of contempt, which is clearly a problem. Psalm 124. Our help in the name of the Lord Our help is in the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth, which is a cry out for help and assurance. And then finally, Psalm 125, where we see a resolution found again in Jerusalem and the completion of the cycle. As the mountains surround Jerusalem, so the Lord surrounds his people from this time on and forevermore. Brueggemann also points out how within this chapter, the author shifts from a first-person perspective of, I lift my eyes up, to a collective perspective, our help comes from the Lord. The author is following the same pattern of a call for help and then an exposition on how the help is sent, a transition from woe to completion or assurance, and also a transition from personal to communal. He also points out that the question of help is answered with creation and redemption. The psalmist is saying that because God is creator and redeemer, therefore having power and authority, as well as covenantal faithfulness, we can trust them in this journey to be our help and our deliverance. Our help on the journey, guiding our feet, being our shade in the land of harsh sun, and keeping vigil when we are most vulnerable. The concept of God, our helper, should be applied in a broader sense, of course, looking at the big picture and knowing we will ultimately be delivered in the end as part of the overarching story arc. We must be very careful not to shrink this thinking down and form the belief that we can and should be delivered from every trial in our lives. This belief system is not only problematic, but reeks of privilege. And Brueggemann points out that it can easily slip into a mask of social conservatism and breed the kind of belief systems that give us rigid rules of who is in, who is out, and who deserves God's help, and who is living in sin, and therefore not eligible to be delivered from their troubles. We know bad things happen to good people, and the rest of us too. That is an inevitable reality of life, and it's not up to us to decide how and why that happens. Ultimately, the purpose of this psalm is to offer praise and thanks to God for their help in times of trouble, and combined with our own experiences of provision and deliverance, build confidence in that provision through our own experiences of it. At the same time, it is also our responsibility to use that confidence to build the community in an inclusive way, not weaponizing God's provision in a way that excludes, divides, and encourages control over others. So then, for us, what is the point of Psalm 121? What can we do with the assurances of God, our helper, in a world that is still crumbling around us? I don't think I need to remind any of us of the atrocities around us. Now, every week, as we gather here and sing songs about a great and powerful God, a God that loves us and wants good for us, while violence continues to claim the lives of families all over the world. Are we just fooling ourselves? Far be it for me to claim to have a satisfactory answer to this big problem. But what I do know is that in so many small and significant ways, God is helping us through our communities, through each other, and through the songs that we sing here that offer praise and assurance and bond us together for the journey. God is guiding our feet so we don't fall. They're giving us shade and keeping watch both night and day. They will be our rescue and our deliverance in the end, but this isn't the end yet. We still have much work to do, and we can offer God's help to each other as we journey on together. That is where the hope is found.
Our hymn of response is number 162, The Love of God. A good response talking about the infinite measure of God's love that Kandace has been talking about. Let's stand to sing.
The
My father could use a little mercy now. The fruits of his labor fall and rot slowly on the ground. His work is almost over, won't be long, and he won't be around. I love my father, he could use some mercy now. My brother could use a little mercy now. He's a stranger to freedom. He's shackled to his fears and doubts. The pain that he lives in is almost more than living will allow. Oh, I love my brother. He could use some mercy now. My church and my country could use a little mercy now. As they sink into a poison pit that's going to take forever to climb out. They carry the weight of the faithful who follow them down. Oh, I love my church and country. They could use some mercy now. Every living thing could use a little mercy now. Only the hand of grace can end the race towards another mushroom cloud. People in power, well, they'll do anything to keep their crown. I love life, and life itself could use some mercy now. Yeah, we all could use a little mercy now. I know we don't deserve it, but we need it anyhow. We hang in the balance, dangling between hell and hallowed ground. Every single one of us could use some mercy now. Every single one of us could use some mercy now. Every single one of us could use some mercy now.
Thank you so much, Peggy and George. That was truly hallowed ground. I've heard Mary Gautier's version many times, but ooh, I loved yours. Thank you. We want to take some time now for some announcements and sharing of joys and concerns. As Mike mentioned, it's a busy time of year. There's a lot going on. Your blue sheets are in your mailbox. This is a list, at least a partial list of the calendar events of the church for the next year. And there's lots of ways to participate in the life of the community. So make sure you have those handy. This afternoon, there's a hymn sing at Rockway celebrating the 80th anniversary of the opening of the school, and some of you here have some history with Rockway. There was a great event last night celebrating the school with food and music, and it was a lot of fun. This afternoon is a hymn sing, and another part of the history of the school to be celebrated. So that's at 2:30 this afternoon at the school, and Mark, I believe, is leading the singing. Next Sunday at noon, we are having a gathering and lunch for families with children connected to this congregation. The Community and Hospitality Ministry and pastors are hosting this special lunch for parents and children connected to this church. And so if you haven't already, please reply to one of the pastors so we know how many people will be attending. And if you have family members that are connected to this church and think they would appreciate attending this, please let them know about it. Friday, October the 3rd, the St. Jacobs Seniors have their first kickoff event, and backed by popular demand, it's all about pies, the Festival of Pies, fall edition. So I guess that's like your apples and your pumpkins and your cinnamon spice stuff, I don't know, whatever you want. We'll begin our time together with a surprise activity followed by sampling pies. Please bring a pie if you're able to add to the table. And there's a sign-up sheet in the upper foyer, and we would appreciate people signing up for that. Many of you are aware that Benin Bible Institute board members Germaine and Jocelyn had planned to attend our MC Canada gathering in Kitchener in early July, and then fly on south from here to Carolina for the MC USA conference. And due to current situations in the US, the decision was made to cancel their visit. The WestJet tickets that were part of their travel itinerary, the value of those tickets is still available and can be used up until January 29th, 2026, anywhere that WestJet flies. So if you are thinking of making travel plans and using WestJet in that time frame and you haven't purchased tickets yet, speak to one of the BBI Partnership Committee members, Sue Shantz, Beth Metzger, or Chuck and Linda Kruger for more information. You could use the travel worth of those and then reimburse the Mission Partnership Fund for that amount. That would be the understanding. So if you have questions about that, if I didn't make that clear, talk to one of those folks on that committee. And you'll note in our newsletter there are a number of fundraising opportunities: Ride for Refuge, for Compass Refugee Center, 10,000 Steps for Mental Health in support of Shalom Counseling, and MCEC International Resource Worker Som Fanfa doing discipleship training in Thailand. Those are all opportunities we have to support. The details are in our weekly newsletter, and your support would be appreciated. At this time, we want to bring our own gifts forward as our time of offering. And as we bring our offerings forward in worship, we recognize all the ways that we give: our time, our talents, our money, our listening, our prayers. And all of that is a response to the goodness of God and our way of giving thanks, our way of supporting, enhancing the reconciling work of God across the street and around the world. So I invite the ushers forward as we offer a prayer of thanks. Thanks be to God. We want to take time now to share our joys and concerns with each other for prayer. Mike will bring the mic around and just say your name, and we will join our prayers with yours.
Good morning. I'm Leah Beam. We're all on a journey, and many people have made their journey to Canada. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to be over at Grace Lau Mennonite Church for their annual women's conference, and was blessed by being with a group of, it's hard to say, but there were at least a half a dozen other races and churches represented, including the Hmong Church, the Grace Lau from St. Catharines and Hamilton, and also the Chin Church in Kitchener, and I can't remember all of the ones, but I was amazed at the list that they gave of representatives at this meeting. And the guest speaker was from Angel Ministries in Kitchener, which I was not aware that existed. But this woman's name is Angel, and God has called her to minister to the homeless. And she shared her story, how she came from being a drug addict to being a minister to those who are in need on the street. And she said it was a busy morning. She just baptized somebody in the backyard. So we need to pray for this church in downtown Kitchener and all the churches that were represented there who are new to our community, and perhaps we're not aware of who they all are and our languages. And we shared a potluck meal together where I got to meet a lot of people from these different churches. And thank God for the ministry of Christ in our own city.
Thanks for sharing that, Leah. I'm so glad you were able to be there and to enjoy that kind of event with our partner church, Grace Lau. I think maybe both prayers, a prayer of gratitude for the ministry of all these intercultural churches and what that brings to our community. Thanks be to God. And a prayer for God's help and support in these ministries that are doing this angel ministry in particular in Kitchener, working with people that are unhoused. So let's pray together. O Lord, hear our prayers.
Good morning. It's Peggy Weber. Can't see you all. This is not self-promotion, but I laid in bed last night, and I thanked God for my voice, for the ability to sing, and I'll tell you why. It's because I had just come home from the Rockway 80th anniversary celebration, and it was amazing. And when I laid there, and I'm so grateful that I get to sing. And my singing started here, in this church, beside my mom, learning to sing alto, and then going to Rockway, and Bob Shantz, and singing with women there, and choirs, and then, in my 20s and early 30s, singing karaoke in Toronto. And over the years, I have made music with so many different people. George this morning, Stephanie, still sing a song you taught me way early on. And I'm just grateful that I got this opportunity to be able to sing. And Rockway, what a place, what a special gem of a school that we get to have in our community. The people that were there, I mean, the friends that you make at Rockway, they're family forever. It was just a really beautiful time there, and that the last band that played, the boys that are still students at Rockway, knocked it out of the park. Amazing. So anyway, I thanked God myself last night, but I'm just grateful for music and that I have a little bit of a voice to sing. So.
Thanks, Peggy. We too give thanks for your voice. We give thanks for this church community and your mom who taught you to sing, and for Rockway and the music ministry that it has had over the years too. You're going to make me emotional. Let's offer a prayer of thanks. Thanks be to God.
Laura Wallace-Jarvis. So first, thanks be to God that I finished my first degree. So I am tired, and I convocate in October, so that's great. I recently started a part-time job that I'm also grateful for, and I wanted to share that with you. I'm working for a small organization called Seeds, who runs a second stage recovery home for women who've been trafficked. And I'm doing some consulting with the organization from a social work perspective, but most of my role is with the women in the home that they live in together, and just helping them there. Having lots of conversations, being paid to talk to people is really exciting for me. Have conversations about deep life things. I just wanted to share, though, that one of them made a decision to come to Christ yesterday. And so I just wanted to share that and say thanks be to God, and thanks that all this work that I've done and my story has prepared me to be able to step into this role. Yep. And it's very life-giving for me too.
Thank you for sharing that, Laura. And we celebrate with you all these milestones and new things, and the service and ministry that you are able to offer now in this new job. So let's offer a prayer of thanks. Thanks be to God. And for the population that you work with, for the significant needs that are out there and the difficulty of those situations, let's offer a prayer for God's help. O Lord, hear our prayers. Is there anyone else who would like to share this morning? If not, I invite us into a time of prayer. Gracious God, we gather this morning as people on all kinds of life journeys. We lift up our eyes to you and call on you for help. And we give thanks, O God, for all the ways you have heard us, have shown up for us, for all the ways that you have been our help. Some of us are beginning something new, moving, starting school, starting work, retiring, traveling, starting a new relationship. Bless our new ventures. Calm us when we get nervous or anxious about new things. Some of us are supporting others on their journeys, parenting, grandparenting, teaching, coaching, mentoring, offering friendship, uplifting, and cheering others along. Bless our efforts to encourage. Help us to empower others. Some of us are leaders. We manage, we guide, we motivate others on the journey, we inspire, we take risks, we try new things, we provide work and resources. Bless our willingness to shepherd others. Give us the courage to lead even in the face of uncertainty. Some of us are on physical journeys we didn't anticipate. We have health concerns. We face the realities of a diagnosis, the stigma of experiencing a mental health challenge, the loss and limits of a body that doesn't work in the same way it used to. Bless our caregivers and medical supporters. We pray for healing, and we pray for grace to accept what comes next. Some of us feel stuck, not going anywhere. Bless the quietness of being still. Some of us are near the beginning of our journey, some of us are near the end, and many of us are somewhere in between. Bless the gifts of wisdom and experience from our elders. Bless the gifts of energy and renewal from the young. Help each one of us to find our role in the journey of this congregation as it continues to bring your reconciling love to our communities. In your name we pray. Amen.
Our sending song is number 200, Darkness is Not Dark to You, God. This hymn takes a fresh and unusual look at darkness and light. It's based on Psalm 139, and verses 11 and 12 read, "Surely the darkness shall cover me, even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is as bright as the day, for darkness is as light to you." Let's stand to sing.
Darkness is not dark to you, God. Darkness is as light to you. Darkness is the source of insight. Darkness leads to God is true. Eyes closed, blocking out the brilliance. We begin to see darkness loses secrets. Light makes clear what should be good. Light defines and sharpens boundaries. Light impresses parts unsure. Sitting in the shadow waiting, we are met by God. God is Logos, hidden wisdom. God is what we cannot see. God is shrouded in deep silence. God is holy mystery. Yet with dark explosive power, we meet God in
Whatever wilderness the Spirit has brought you to, walk in boldness as a beloved child of God. Walk in peace under the shelter of the Most High. Walk in faith, knowing that Christ walks with you. Amen.
Jesus, help us live in peace. From our blindness, set us free. Fill us with your healing love. Help us live in unity. Many times we disagree. Oh, what's right or wrong to do? It's so hard to really see from the other's point of view. How we long for power and fame, seeking every earthly thing. We forget the one who came as a servant, not a king. Jesus, help us live in peace. From our blindness, set us free. Fill us with your healing love. Help us live